for every black Republican, I really want y'all to take a long look in the mirror and ask, do you love the color of your skin? Because y'all allowed this man in office. It's something that our ancestors fought for, got beat for, got dogs on them, got sprayed with water hoses, got hung for. They fought for these rights for us, and y'all squandered them away for money. Y'all squandered them away just to be closer to white people. What a disgrace y'all are to our community. My mom wasn't even born when this shit came through. My mom wasn't even born. And you mean to tell me y'all let this man take this from us? Something our ancestors fought for? Y'all really let that shit happen? If you are black and you voted for this man, go play in traffic. Because this shit right here, this should have never happened. Everybody is about to suffer for this. Everybody. Everybody. Race, color, religion, national origin. This man is making America white again before Jim Crow. And we told y'all that. We told y'all he is trying to take us back to Jim Crow. And y'all sat there and y'all said, I don't want DEI. I don't want an advantage. DEI is not a fucking advantage. It's just to put us in the room because we're just as qualified as any other white man. And y'all let this shit go down. I'm going to try not to cry because the bitch got a meeting.
Trump revokes 1965 civil rights order that prohibited employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, and national origin. Shocker. This is who y'all voted for, so, yeah.
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that the president has railed against. He signed an executive order over the night that has a real impact there.
It sure does, and it's starting today, Savannah. 5 o'clock Eastern, close of business today. That is when workers in those offices will be told that they are on basically immediate paid leave. Contracts are going to be terminated. Trainings are supposed to end. The social media accounts, the web pages are getting pulled down as well. The White House also wants to know whether there's an attempt to, in their words, use coded language to try to disguise some of these programs. This is something that the president talked about on the campaign trail, and it is a big reversal of a Biden-era push. Keep in mind that conservatives have long been critical of these DEI programs, not just in the federal government, but think about the private sector, too, in those private corporations. The White House press secretary, in a statement overnight, says this is all. You talk about, Savannah, promises made, promises kept. She says that this is part of a pledge by the president to return America to, in her words, a merit-based society where people are hired based on their skills and not the color of their skin, Savannah.
The Trump camp officially revoked the act from 1965 that says equal employment opportunities for all. That's gone. Let's talk about it and exactly what it means. Officially known as Executive Order 11246, it is gone. It was initiated in 1965. It required employers to take specific measures to ensure equal employment opportunities. But why did the Trump administration revoke it? They are saying that these policies violate civil rights laws and employment should be based on merit and not specifically because of your race or that you're a woman or that you're a minority. So they say that DEI programs has an identity-based theme where it's really based on your identity versus your ability. They're saying ability should come first. Now, they're not going to issue it right away. They do give companies 90 days, so you got 90 days for the old law, but in 90 days, this executive order, which Trump signed today, goes into effect. Now, these changes do not eliminate discrimination based on your civil rights. What they're saying is it has to be based on merit. There's a lot more to this bill, and not every bill is affected. People like veterans in the Rehab Act are still protected, and civil rights are still in place. But what do you think about this new law. Is Trump taking it too far, or is he justified? Let me know your opinion in the comments, and make sure you bookmark this so you can find your way back. It is going to be a long 4 years. So he did it. He just revoked the Civil Rights Act of 1965, put in place by President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Okay, so as an attorney, that is absolutely false.
So they can discriminate against race, gender, sexual orientation, religion.
Trump signed an executive order revoking an executive order. What you said is that he revoked an act, which is a law, which is not legal. He cannot do that. He cannot revoke an act of Congress.
They could do all of that. They have the right to do it.
What the executive order actually means is that it's taking away DEI hires. So when a company discriminates their hiring based on who someone has sex with in their free time, which was the bedrock of the 1965 executive order, not the congressional law. So basically, instead of hiring people based on who they sleep with at home, off duty, right? They will now be hired again based on merit, education, and qualifications. That's what the executive order says.
Him getting back in office was not for the greater good.
It takes away no anti-discrimination laws. People of color and women will still be employed fairly. It just takes away DEI hiring and hiring people based on who they have sex with.
He came back, and he came back with a vengeance.
So shame on you, because you're a liar. And this is why I challenge people of TikTok to not just get their news from TikTok.
So everything that our ancestors fought for, everything that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Shirley Chisholm, Jesse Jackson, everything that they fought for has been dismantled because you didn't want a woman to run this country.
But challenge what you see on social media, because people like this are what's making our country even more divided than it already is. And 9 out of 10 times, it's based on a lie.
Thank you. You have set us 100 years back. If you are a person of color and if you voted for him because you can resonate with him, you can sit here and you're going to get low gas and groceries.
We knew. We knew it was going to get bad. We knew it. We knew what was coming. But why does it stings so bad? It hurts. Like, my heart dropped. Trump really did revoke the 1965 Civil Rights Act, which protected equal employment opportunities, where employers can now openly discriminate against your race, your color, your religion, your origin. Really? We screamed, we shouted, we spread word who the right person was to vote for. And you motherfuckers voted for a fascist criminal. Racist, fascist, racist, sexist. You voted for this. Women, if an employer doesn't want a woman at the job, guess what? They can now openly say, I'm not going to hire you because you're a woman, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Oh, you're pregnant? Too bad, so sad. Oh, you're not. You're not a man, you're not white, you're not Christian. I'm not gonna hire you. Go somewhere else. That's what we're voting for? The amount of fight and push, like, the things people fought for, the things the black people fought for, just trampled on. We knew it was going to be bad. We knew it was coming. We knew what to expect, but it's still, this one hurts. This one stings. Project 2025, guys. This is, I'm eyeing my passport and I'm eyeing my luggage, my bags. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking real hard.
If you don't really understand government or politics, but you want to understand what it means when they say Trump took away DEI in government and changed the federal hiring practices, watch this. And if you black, it took us 100 years to get a president to sign some of these things into an executive order. Within 48 hours of him being president, he took them away. So he starts off basically trying to say that the federal government gives civil rights protection, so we don't need extra protections. But he says, but the current federal hiring practices are broken, insular, outdated. They no longer focus on merit or skill and dedication to our Constitution. Federal hiring should not be based on impermissible factors such as one's commitment to illegal race-based discrimination under the guise of equity. They're calling equity racism now. In the DEI ending in contracting, he says the medical industry, the large commercial airlines, law enforcement agencies, and institutions of higher education have adopted and are actively using dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. They went all the way back to 1965 to take away an executive order by Lyndon Johnson. So I went to look up what was in that executive order. Two things were in there: non-discrimination in government employment, non-discrimination in government contractors and subcontractors. The contractor would not discriminate against an employee or applicant for employment because of race, color, religion, or sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. The contractor will take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard of their race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or the national origin. Such action shall include, but not be limited to, the following: employment, upgrading, demotion or transfer, recruitment or recruitment advertising, layoff and terminations, pay rates or other forms of compensation, and selection for training, including apprenticeship. Okay. Now, this is basically two executive orders that take away 100 years of black advocacy with the swipe of his pen. There are people who worked for decades to ensure that black people could have equal protection under the law. We know we got civil rights, but they continue to erode our civil rights. When you've got a court that's got the majority of the people appointed are conservatives, of those conservatives, the majority of them have been appointed by Trump, and they don't believe in certain civil rights protections. The reason we had presidents write these executive orders was to ensure that the people who were administering the job in the government actually did those jobs. Trump is basically saying it's okay to discriminate against people if you think that they are not merit-based in this equation. How do you end up in this situation? If all the people in the room are white males making the decisions about what the merit should be, then how do people from other communities even get in the conversation? And me specifically speaking for black men and women, this is a response to black women being the most educated group in America right now, chasing their dreams to get to positions that give them the opportunity to be successful. Black men who have jumped over hurdles that have been set for them and acquiring positions that they deem we are not fit to be in. We should be very concerned, because when you do away with these protections, you basically say we're determining what the merits are. Now, for me, because I understand how these people work, if you are a business owner and you're black, you should be very concerned, because all of the protections that they put in to ensure that we got to be considered, they're removing them. If you're black and you desire to move and work in government, you should be concerned, because all of the things that we have put in as protections to ensure that there was equal protection under the law, or to ensure that the people working within the administration were actually abiding by the rules, Trump said we don't play by those rules anymore. We don't care about ensuring that the government looks like America. We don't care about ensuring that we're equitable in all of the things. And that's how discrimination expands. That is how discrimination expands. When you're not at the table, you're always on the menu. And if you're over there performing at the inauguration or a Trump supporter, justify this one for me. Make it make sense. Unless you're just over there because you're a rapper that's looking for somebody to be pardoned, or you're somebody in business that's trying to get a job or a contract. Because step and fetch is always their thing. I didn't know it was yours.
So Donald Trump revokes the Equal Opportunity Employment Act. I have never been more irritated when it comes to political views, because for those of you who, went red, how are y'all feeling? Because this affects you too. Y'all too busy shoving your heads up into what it doesn't do to you, but what about what it does do? This is literally the end of the American empire, and I'm witnessing this unfold in front of my eyes. We're going on 2030, but it's going to feel like 1930. This is big. And you know what? Y'all ain't paying enough attention for me. And it's not enough of y'all talking about it. Hello? Are y'all here? I could have all the qualifications and be completely certified to do a job, but you mean to tell me because of my personal color and I'm a woman and I don't fit your ideal description that you're going to deny me? How about you been in honey teriyaki? What do you mean? And yes, I might be sitting here joking and laughing, but this is really not funny. This is what y'all voted for. Do y'all see this madness that y'all have allowed to run the country? Child, all I can say is buckle up, y'all, because this is about to be a real long, real hard ride.
What the fuck, bitch? 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 What the fuck, bitch?
Breaking news! President Trump has removed the Equal Employment Opportunity through a new executive order. Originally enacted by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965, the order banned contractors from discriminating against any employee because of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. The president also ended many other laws promoting diversity and affirmative action.
Those in the black community about to find the fuck out. Trump just sat here and revoked the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965. What this means is anywhere that you apply to work at, they could turn you away because of your skin color. Bro is basically sitting here making it to the point that we're going to be living back in the 1960s, where we were highly discriminated against. And the sad part is, this is what the black community voted for. They thought that they were going to get another stimulus check. They thought that they was going to get all their jobs back. They thought that they were going to be a part of the white supremacy. And now it's going to be hard for them to even get a job. We already have nothing as it is. And yet, now we about to have more of nothing at all. This tells you the stupidity of the American people, especially the black community. A bunch of money-hungry, greedy fucks.
So by now we've all heard that Trump has signed an executive order repealing the Civil Rights Act. Yeah, if you haven't heard, Trump has signed an executive order to repeal the Civil Rights Act. That doesn't mean it's going to happen because it's a law, and presidents usually don't have the power to undo laws. That has to get voted on, usually I believe through Congress. But, in his mind, he's done it. That better tell you what's about to come down the pipeline, yo. If you are a person of color, listen. This is the time to get your stuff in order. You got to get your stuff in order because things are going to get bad. They're going to get really, really, really bad. Get prepared for a rough ride. Get a plan and pray.
It's getting steep out here, y'all. Trump just rolled back the executive order addressing workplace discrimination. Meaning these jobs can fire you, or they don't even got to hire you just because you fat, black, smell like ramen, any of those reasons. Or motherfuckers just don't got to like you. But that's why I push y'all every day to start your own business, because you ain't about to fire yourself. And y'all got to think, Trump is a businessman. So these next 4 years is about to be the easiest 4 years for any entrepreneur. All you got to do is make you an LLC and you can start getting funded with all these business credit cards and invest into a cash flowing business. And ever since Trump was voted into office, these banks started showing love to us entrepreneurs. Look at my guy right here. He just got approved for a $75,000 credit card on one single credit card. And for the first 12 months, it's 0% interest. Just imagine all the investments you can make with a $75,000 credit card. If you want to learn more about credit or business funding, comment the word group so you can join my free community. And it's free until January 28th. Love you.
Donald Trump's recent executive orders do not simply roll back DEI initiatives that came within the last decade. Trump has actually rolled back civil rights era equal opportunity protections that require federal contractors to refrain from employment discrimination, quote, based on race, color, religion, and national origin. We're talking about rolling back an executive order from Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 that segregationists opposed. And this is because his anti-DEI order is so broad, it actually eliminates and terminates all regulatory practices and mandates that actually protect people from hiring and employment discrimination.
This month erased what our ancestors fought so hard for us to have. Erase all of the progress that we have made over the last 60 years with a swipe of a pen. If only we had some type of warning that this would happen. Oh yeah, we did. It was written right in Project 2025. You know that thing that y'all said he wasn't a part of? That thing y'all said we was using to fearmonger people with? It was written right in Project 2025. He basically said, you know, it's okay to discriminate. It's perfectly legal. Discriminate away. But see, here's the thing with that discrimination shit. It works both ways. If you are a minority-owned business, I suggest you think very carefully about who you serve and who you hire. And while I am devastated, I know that the pride comes before the fall. But unfortunately, a lot of damage will be done before that happens. So this is the time that we need to find our people. We need to be preparing for what's to come.
Y'all heard about Donald Trump's latest attack on DEI? Yeah, he just revoked a civil rights era executive order signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 to prevent discriminatory practices in government contracting. So what Trump did on Tuesday is he revoked Executive Order 11246. That was put into place so that any contractor who did business with the government and accepted over $10,000 could not, by law, discriminate against potential employees and their workers when it came to their sex, gender, race, or religion. With a stroke of a pen, Donald Trump ripped it apart. Bye-bye to all of those affirmative action protections that were put into place to help and to protect marginalized groups and communities. Why? Because DEI is under attack, and as a result, anybody who is not a white man is under attack.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? Get the fuck out of here, little nigga.
President Trump signing the Equal Opportunity Act to be revoked. Let's talk about it, because a lot of y'all think that y'all know what y'all talking about when y'all didn't even go and read it. For those who's making it seem like he's going to allow businesses to discriminate against race or genders or any other type of, discriminating acts, he's not, okay? Let's stop that there. Because if you went and read it like I did, he's basically saying that a job can't hire you just because of your race or your ethnicity or your sex. They have to hire you based on your qualifications, and they cannot discriminate against you. That practice is still into effect. But that DEI practice was there because they didn't want to make it seem like the company was discriminating against you, and they would hire a person of color or any type of sex just so they could say that they're doing their job, when the whole time it prohibits against that. But y'all didn't go and read it. Y'all just got online, seen the first video, and wanted to talk about it.
So I've definitely always been like a silent viewer. I'm not much of a poster. This is kind of like my first video really, but I'm just seeing so much misinformation right now about the Equal Opportunity Executive order that was repealed, and I just want everyone to go over to Aaron Parnas's page because he's reporting on it accurately. And my main point is that there's a distinction between executive orders and acts of Congress. And what the president repealed was an executive order passed by President Johnson in 1964, and it's specifically regarding federal contracts and federal employees. And while that's still not great, really, it's important not to call it an act, because what we're most familiar with as Americans is the Equal Opportunity Act of 1972 that's on all of our hiring paperwork. And so when we call it an act, we are confusing it with that specific act. And again, it's an executive order, so it comes from the executive branch, which means that the president can repeal this at any time. And it's different than an act, which is an act of Congress, which is of the legislative branch. So just want to put this out there, push back on misinformation, check out Aaron's page. And also, it's just really good for us to understand these distinctions and to better understand aspects of our government. The top page here, the first page, shows us the rights that are afforded to us from the Equal Opportunity Act of 1972. And in this bottom section, there's this bar here that speaks to the rights that were afforded to employees with federal contracts and subcontracts. And it even specifically spells out the executive order number that was repealed by Trump. And here it is side by side with the executive order number.